The John Gomez Show.
Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome back. Round number 2 of the John Gomez Show. Yours truly, John Gomez, with you. As you know, every single day we kick it off at noon to 2, lunch with Gomez on 103.9 LI News Radio. You can follow us no matter where you go, no matter where you are. At linewsradio.com, just click on the Listen Live link. Also, if you care to make contact with the program, write this number down, 631-451-1039, 451-1039. And you can always write to me, Gomez, at linewsradio.com. Joining me on the Newsmaker line, I have none other than attorney David Selig of Selig and Associates. David, welcome back. How are you, Dave?
Hey, John, thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure.
No problem at all. It's a very interesting issue that you bring up because, illegal immigrants. And, folks, this is the emphasis here. Illegal immigrants, not immigrants, not people who have come here legally. We're talking about illegal immigrants. So there's one issue here, David, and I'd like you to explain it. You have how illegal immigrants cost U.S. taxpayers billions of dollars each year. Please explain.
Sure. It's actually twofold. The first is billions upon billions of dollars of untaxed money is wired out of our country every year and goes to Mexico, and the individuals who are wiring this money are essentially deliberately evading taxes. I have proposed that we place a transfer tax on all wires that are going to Mexico because, as I said, it is billions of dollars, and treat the transferee just as if they would receive a 1099, in this case, a 1099-C. The institution that does the transfer will do mandatory withholdings, and if at the end of the year, when the individual files his or her return, and it turns out they have been reporting and paying what they're supposed to, they will get a refund. If, in fact, they have been lying, which is the case in the overwhelming majority, then we will make honest taxpayers out of these otherwise dishonest people. That's the first prong. The second one is, I don't know if your listening audience is aware of this, but Section 152 of the Internal Revenue Code allows individuals who are here in this country, legally and otherwise, to obtain a taxpayer identification number and claim dependents that live in Mexico. Each one of those dependents essentially costs the taxpayer $3,900, and it qualifies the individual to sometimes get the earned income credit. Now, that is costing us in excess of $30 billion a year. I have challenged any sitting congressman or senator to refute my figures. None are willing to because they know I'm probably understating the liability.
Let me ask you this, David, just to put it in simple terms. So, in other words, let's just use for an example an illegal immigrant. They're here illegally. They got here somehow, some way. They're working their tail off. Some people can. They're working hard. All right. They're making money now. Right away, it would seem to me if you're here illegally, can you have a bank account?
Yes, you can, contrary to federal law and contrary to the rhetoric of our mayor. They pretty much have access to all service. However, I want to point this out, and this is very important. If you go into areas that have a very high illegal alien population, you will notice a great deal of tax return preparation businesses. Next time any of your listening audience is driving through a neighborhood like that, count how many there are. And the reason why is this has become a cottage industry, an absolute scam, because there is no verification required when you claim a dependent in Mexico. Now, right now in your listening audience, there are people who have been denied dependent deductions because they're divorced or they don't have adequate paperwork. The IRS doesn't check any of the paperwork for claimed dependents in Mexico because they say, well, there's rural areas, sometimes births are recorded in a book in a church. So we're going to hold those people to a different standard. But everyone knows what's going on. It is a scam that is being perpetrated on the American taxpayer, and it's not right.
So, David Selig, are you basically saying that they could claim six dependents that are living?
And they regularly do. And I'll tell you something else. In addition to the federal funds that they get back, the earned income credit and such, New York State matches, different state matches. So it's not uncommon for an individual who may or may not have any dependents in Mexico to get back anywhere between $4,000 and $16,000, depending on the extent of their lives.
Jesus. Now, David Selig, let me just to follow through with my hypothetical here. So we have an illegal living on Long Island, and he's working hard. So he's got a bank account.
Right.
I didn't know that he would be able to get a bank account. So he's got a bank account. Now comes around tax time. So
right.
I'm also thinking, David, I'm assuming that an illegal person isn't going to file any taxes. Because if I file taxes, they're going to catch me.
Contraire, Pierre, you can be an illegal alien and get a taxpayer identification number. You know, Uncle Sam wants that money.
Yeah.
What typically happens is they'll put an individual on the books for only 2 days, and the rest is paid off the books. So now this individual appears like he's working his tail off for $17,000 a year, when in fact he may be getting considerably more, not to mention the rest of that payment is totally untaxed, and then all of those generous benefits and credits that we afford to these people because of Section 152. Now, Section 152 allows you to claim dependents in the two contiguous nations, Mexico and Canada. The rules for Canadian dependents are very strict. There are no rules for Mexican dependents.
This is just this is news to me. I mean, I know if you're an illegal alien, illegal immigrant in this country, you're afforded free education. Is that correct?
As far as I know.
Yeah, it is. And I was shocked when I was sitting there in law school. My hand immediately went up. I said, are you kidding me? You're not even here legally. You're not paying any taxes. You haven't paid taxes, and you're guaranteed a free education? That seems kind of odd to me. But here, this is a whole nother tact here that I never knew about. So now, okay, so we have an illegal alien, illegal immigrant, working, earning some money. Then he goes into one of these tax preparation outfits, storefronts.
Yep.
He fills out a tax form. I guess a 1040 or what?
That's correct.
He fills out a 1040. He claims he earned $17,000 or whatever the number is, $20,000, or he's probably going to want to be. What do you figure? Does he make it as low as possible? Does he? Whatever it is, whatever the number is, then when it comes, go ahead.
They have it all figured out. They've got it down to a finely tuned system. Okay?
Yeah.
You remember those videos of someone going into Acorn?
Yes.
And getting this? Well, that
yes.
makes that look like kindergarten, okay? These guys are running a finely tuned system. They have got their hands in every one of your listening audience's pocket, and no one seems to care. I have been beating this drum for almost 3 years, and I got to tell you, call your congressman, get on the horn, enough is enough.
David, this is shocking to me. I mean, and right around now, because as you know, everybody's preparing their taxes, or they certainly should be. This is the time. This is the moment. It's March. It's April. I mean, I just got through doing my corporate taxes. Now I'm turning around and doing my individual taxes. And, of course, none of us want to write that check just when we thought, we were out of the red and out of the dark. Boom. In comes Uncle Sam right into your pocket. And, this is one thing I've always mentioned, David Selig, is that, if our government just honed in on all the fraud that goes on day in and day out in our country, we'd be a hell of a lot better off.
Well said, John. And by the way, if any of your listening audience doubts what I'm saying, look up Section 152 of the Internal Revenue Code. It's right there in black and white.
That's Section 152 of the Internal Revenue Code, and it spells it out right there. This is it's news to me, quite frankly, David, and I'm so glad you brought it out to us. On another note, if you care, I'd like to turn the page here, David.
Sure.
Being a tax expert yourself, Colorado, as we know, marijuana is now legal, and one of the arguments for making marijuana legal is to reap the tax revenue.
Sure.
So I don't know what the latest figures are as far as what kind of money Colorado's bringing in after legalizing marijuana, but obviously, and I think when Andrew Cuomo introduced earlier this year, I believe, he talked about medical marijuana, and that's pretty much how it started in Colorado, if I remember correctly.
Sure.
And sure enough, it's not a far-fetched idea that once the foot's in the door, it's not going to take much longer to get the second foot in and the whole body in. So the first step is medical marijuana, because gee whiz, who doesn't want to help those who are ill, who are suffering from a problem, a disease, and if it's just a matter of legalizing somebody to smoke some weed, what the heck, give them the right. But sure enough, in comes, it won't take long for them to say, geez, we can make a fortune this way.
John, that's how my daughter was born. It all started with a kiss.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. Well, they are losing the money. I guess one could certainly make the argument they're losing the money from the tobacco revenue.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. Shoot.
All that glitters isn't gold. I know a lot of people are touting the money that's coming in. Why don't we speak to some actuaries and find out what all this monkey shine is really going to cost, okay? Because these are real forward-looking predictions. Remember, there's going to be a lot of claims, and don't forget, the good state is going to have to collect that sales tax. And people who have been getting something for nothing, usually, despite their rhetoric, don't want to start paying for it. Plus, you're going to have all those claims now that it's legal. Now some kid can't read. Yeah. Another kid was born with a birth defect. Some jerk ate too much, and now he has diabetes because he had the munchies. Let's see how it plays out.
Well, isn't there? And this is just hearsay on my part. I was always told that the smoking of marijuana actually kills some brain cells or something like that. Is there any truth to that? I know you're not a doctor, but.
Hey, I don't know, but my experience with the potheads would lead me to believe it is. John, I'm being called. I got to go back into the IRS.
Very good, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, David Selig of Selig and Associates joining us, giving us some tax insight, folks. I don't know about you, but this is news to me as far as the illegal aliens getting tax refunds and profiting. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I never thought about that. And, it's something to look out for. I was wondering about all these, I know H&R Block, they put out these storefronts, get your return quickly and get your refund quicker and get the money that's owed to you. And I just never would have thought that somebody here in the United States who's here illegally would have even the thought or the nerve to file for taxes. I mean, as much as you would think, geez, okay, he's filing for taxes. He's at least trying to do the right thing, only to find out, as per David Selig, it seems as though there's an ongoing scam going on, and maybe just perhaps it's not all due to the illegal alien per se, but these people should know better. These people who are setting up shop and perhaps perpetrating this fraud. It's just unbelievable. It's just astounding to me how we allow such fraud day in and day out in our country. And, and we're this is where accountability comes in. There's got to be some sense of accountability as far as our government officials are concerned. There needs to be. Otherwise, there's no incentive. There's no incentive to do the right thing. And if there's no incentive on a government's on the government's behalf, on any government official to do the right thing, then why should they?